So what we decided was something we had done at 2 years ago at a WBENC event that actually worked out pretty well. It's our view of allowing you into our lives, what the supplier diversity person really does when they interview a business, whether it's in person or over the phone. And I think that the way we want to set it up is there's certain things that I need out of this discovery, right? And there's certain things that you want. You want a deal at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
So we're going to role play a little bit, and you're going to, and a lot of it during the day I've already kind of blabbed. I've been here too much, and you'll know where I'm going. But why don't we just start? You know, we're having a role play. I think the context is also important, right? When you're at these events, you don't want to eat alone. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you haven't already prearranged it, you want to think about, who you want to meet with and sit with at each of those opportunities. So let's say that we were like when we were stuck in an airport. This is a real. What did we do?
Really happened.
It really happened. We got much closer because we had an opportunity for an hour. We did the discussion. So why don't we go through it? And I would say, Sandy, tell me a little bit about your company.
Well, Fernando, I've started Private Eyes in 1999, and what we do is make a safe workplace possible. And we do that by providing high-quality background checks to companies all around the United States. And so I'm thinking 5 words. And I want to go on with my story because I'm passionate about it.
Yeah,
so, Fernando, it was quite like that because we were at a meeting and then we ran into each other at the airport.
Yeah,
so,
but you notice, and we'll interject back and forth, I think, and you can ask questions. I'm consciously being quiet. I also, when you do this, you want to make the person feel very, very comfortable. So don't try to, I never try to be intimidating or whatever. I use a lot of levity so the person really feels comfortable. There's a purpose to my madness. So since I create such an environment that, where it's kind of two people chatting, she's very open about what she wants to convey about her business. I'm already sifting little things. She's already telling me she does business in the entire country. So that's important to me. Then a follow-up question would be, do you do any business internationally?
yes.
Okay. Then I would go down the areas that I know that Microsoft is actively engaged in, like all the BRIC countries, and find out is she doing it there. So that would be a follow-up question. Everything revolves around trying to assess her scale and scope. You've been in business since '91. Tell me, you don't have to use real financials, but how large is your company in revenue terms?
This year, our run rate is $5 million.
Okay, and notice she said her run rate, right? What I would do is I would push on that. I'm not going to do it here to be rude, but I would push on that a little bit to say, well, what were your actuals for last year, right? And then you can quickly model if she's on track to do 5. We're in the middle of the year. The other piece would be, I'm also assessing for the cultural context. Microsoft is a weird culture. It is what it is, right? Would you be successful in our culture talking to our technologists and whatnot? So I'm assessing that. I'm also assessing, can you build a relationship with these types of abstract thinkers, right? We had some of these questions before on the floor, so I'm assessing that as well. What would be the things that you would be hitting me with?
Well, I would want to know, do you know who your current provider is, Fernando?
Yeah. And I wouldn't divulge, but I'd say, yeah, I know who that person is.
Why not? No.
It works that way. If you really want to brush the person off, you'll see people say, oh, go to the website. Go to the website. That's when you know that the person really isn't interested in the conversation. To me, I typically say, look, if you want to go register on the Microsoft website, terrific. But it's more important that we build a relationship. And I know, you're top of mind because remember, the deal might be here, the deal might be at Yahoo, the deal might be at Coca-Cola. And in fact, remember I gave you a lead earlier in the year?
Yes.
I forget what company was that?
Kansas City Power.
Okay. So I learned of a deal, and I said, let me get her on the phone and give it to her. So, I think it's important to connect in that vein.
And there's been a couple of times when Fernando has called me when someone asked him about background checks. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. let's play on the opposite.
Well, so do you want to act like it's a phone call, or can we act like we're just meeting at a conference?
What works for the group?
Okay, so let's do that first.
Okay.
So, hi Fernando, I'm
Hi, how are
Sandra
you?
James with Private Eyes, and I own a pre-employment screening company. We do background checks everywhere, and I know I can save you money. Can you tell me who I should talk to?
Well, before I do that, I want to learn a little bit more about your company.
Okay,
So what I would say is, what type of electronic information can you send me so that I can have and I can read, and then we'll set up a follow-up call. Typically, that's what the process that I like to use, or the person will give you printed information. The problem with printed information, and I know there's a colleague that you gave me printed information today, right? The issue is, give it to one person maybe, and have people all over the country and all over the world. Our program is in, different countries as well. So I need it electronically. So you have to follow up and say, can I send you a soft copy as well? Or if it's a big deal and you see that there's an RFP here, give them a thumb drive as well. Now they're pretty inexpensive, so you can afford to, if it's the right person, give them a thumb drive. So I would say, do you have a soft copy of your presentation?
I don't have soft copy. I can send you an electronic version. Would you like a capability statement, a PowerPoint? How many pages should it be?
And that's a great question. And what I would say for me,
Microsoft wants my information.
yeah, what I would say for me, I would say, you know what? I need a one-pager.
Okay.
And, I need it to be broken out this way. Boom, 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 boom. It's very different than the government, right? And that's another big question I would probe her on. Are you doing public or private work?
We do both.
Okay. Tell me, what percentage of your revenues come from which side?
50% of our business is from public companies, and the other 50% is private.
Okay, terrific. So I want to understand, she really does have a diversified business and is able to play in both spaces. It's difficult for a person in my space to receive in a vendor that's doing a lot of work with the federal government, and they're giving me NAAQS codes and all this other stuff, and I'm looking at it and I'm saying, and it says you could supply from shoes to, nuclear power plants. Okay, you say so. So it's a different dynamic, right? But in your case, your product, or your service rather, is so unique that you can actually do that, right? So I would probe her deeply on her product. Tell me more about your product. Specifically, are you working with other technology companies? Who are they?
Well, Fernando,
Can you
we
share
have
that?
some small technology companies.
All right.
We do not have any competitors of Microsoft size at this time. We have 30% of our volume is food and beverage and transportation. 30% of our volume is...
I would never go with a negative,
Okay.
not a Microsoft size.
Okay.
I would say, working with Coca-Cola, I'm working with this one. Even out of the industry, as long as they're Fortune 500 and they're brandable, that's terrific. And you drop names. Say, so-and-so from XYZ company asked me to get in touch with you. Oh, yes, I know her. Like in our case, our mutual friend, Christina, right?
Yes.
Introduced us a long time ago. I mean, we already knew each other, but it was a deeper relationship because she got involved. She was the third-party endorser.
And
right?
Christina Roth is in a WBE who owns Matizia Consultants,
Mm-hmm.
and she is a supplier to Microsoft.
Right. So now, somebody was saying before,
So
now
it's
there's a
both
lot of
corporates.
credibility. There's credibility, right? Everybody in this role or behind this in procurement, it's about mitigating risk. To the degree that you can mitigate risk, then you feel more comfortable about representing the person inside the company. She should be interviewing me as much as I'm interviewing her, and then I respect her. I'm saying, wow, she has her act together. She's hitting me with a lot of great questions in a respectful way, but she's thought it through. The other questions would be, I would start to press on, well, specific to Microsoft, specific to us, what do you think you can add some value? And I would press you on that. I would press you on the areas of, is there anything that you're doing currently that can be automated or that can be productized, right? Because now I'm setting her up potentially to be an independent software vendor, which we do engage and we buy. So, you might be able to create a software solution, right?
Right.
So those would be the areas I would probe.